Hey everyone, and welcome back to Iraqi Dinar News, your trusted source for authentic Iraqi dinar analysis and updates. Today we're tackling a topic that's generating significant discussion in currency markets and online communities: the increased attention surrounding the Iraqi dinar and speculation about its potential future valuation. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button because we focus on factual analysis, not hyper guarantees. Let's be absolutely clear from the start. This video is educational and informational only. We do not make price predictions, we do not guarantee any exchange rate outcomes, and we strongly advise consulting qualified financial professionals before making any investment decisions. Currency markets involve substantial risk, and past performance or current speculation does not guarantee future results. Now, with that important disclaimer established, let's examine why the Iraqi dinar is receiving renewed attention in 2026, what's changed in Iraq's economic landscape, and what informed observers are actually discussing. Stay with me, because understanding the context behind these conversations is more valuable than chasing rumors. The Iraqi dinar has experienced a complex journey over recent decades. Political instability, economic sanctions, military conflicts, and infrastructure challenges all contributed to the currency's restricted status and limited international trading. For many years, the IQD operated primarily as a domestic currency with minimal presence in major foreign exchange markets. This created a situation where the currency remained relatively static in terms of international valuation and trading activity. However, 2026 presents a different economic environment in Iraq compared to previous years. The country has been implementing gradual reforms to its financial infrastructure, modernizing banking systems, and improving the mechanisms through which money flows domestically and internationally. These structural improvements matter significantly because currency strength is fundamentally connected to the institutional framework supporting it. When financial systems become more efficient, transparent, and connected to global standards, the currencies operating within those systems often behave differently in international markets. What we're observing is the Iraqi dinar transitioning from a relatively obscure local currency towards something that currency analysts and Forex observers are beginning to monitor more actively. This increased attention itself creates dynamics that didn't exist when the currency was largely ignored by international markets. One major factor driving renewed interest is Iraq's banking sector transformation. Historically, Iraq's financial systems were characterized by outdated infrastructure, slow transaction processing, and limited international connectivity. In 2026, we're seeing expansion of digital banking platforms, increased adoption of electronic payment systems, and improvements in cross-border transaction capabilities. When financial infrastructure modernizes, it reduces friction in currency transactions. Reduced friction typically increases trading activity, and increased trading activity can lead to greater price discovery and market efficiency. This isn't about speculation or hype. This is about fundamental infrastructure development that supports currency functionality. Every major currency in global markets operates within robust, efficient financial systems. Iraq's ongoing development of these systems represents a necessary foundation for any potential changes in how the IQD is perceived or traded internationally. Another significant factor is Iraq's position as a major oil producer. Oil exports represent Iraq's primary source of foreign currency earnings and government revenue. In 2026, Iraq's energy sector has become more organized and productive compared to previous years. Higher oil production combined with more efficient export management means increased foreign currency inflows, which strengthen foreign exchange reserves and support economic stability. Currency markets pay attention to national income sources because they indicate a country's capacity to support its currency and service its economic obligations. Now let's address the topic generating the most discussion: speculation about significantly higher valuations for the Iraqi dinar, including references to rates around $3. It's crucial to understand several things about this conversation. First, no one can predict exact future exchange rates with certainty. Currency markets are influenced by countless variables, including global economic conditions, political developments, oil prices, interest rate policies, and international trade dynamics. Second, Forex markets do not operate on guarantees or promises. What's significant is not any specific number being discussed, but rather that serious discussions about Iraqi dinar valuation are happening at all. For many years, such conversations were essentially non-existent. The emergence of active discussion indicates changing perceptions about Iraq's economic trajectory and the dinar's potential positioning within currency markets. The economic reasoning behind higher valuation discussions generally centers on several factors: ongoing economic reconstruction, banking modernization, substantial oil revenue capacity, and the possibility that the currency's current valuation may not reflect Iraq's improving fundamentals. When currencies remain undervalued for extended periods due to political or structural constraints, and then those constraints begin easing, markets sometimes adjust valuations accordingly. This doesn't guarantee dramatic changes, but it creates an environment where reassessment becomes possible. Global Forex market dynamics also contribute to increased attention on emerging market currencies. Major established currencies tend to move within relatively narrow ranges, making significant gains difficult. This naturally pushes currency traders and investors to examine developing markets with growth potential. Iraq, with its substantial natural resources, large population, ongoing reconstruction efforts, fits the profile of an emerging market that currency observers monitor for potential opportunities. Government policy improvements also play a role. Iraq has been working to better manage monetary policy, control inflation, and improve fiscal planning. When governments demonstrate more effective economic management, it enhances investor confidence. Enhanced confidence typically leads to increased interest from international capital, which can influence currency demand and valuation. It's also important to understand the psychological dimension of currency markets. Market sentiment and investor perception significantly influence trading behavior. As discussions about Iraq's economic improvements and the dinar's potential spread through trading communities and online platforms, they create awareness that previously didn't exist. Increased awareness leads to increased monitoring, which can translate into greater trading activity when conditions align favorably. For individuals who hold Iraqi dinars, whether acquired years ago or more recently, understanding these dynamics provides important context. However, it's equally important to approach currency holdings with realistic expectations and appropriate risk management. No market moves in a straight line. There are always corrections, surprises, and periods of consolidation. Successful currency market participants focus on education and informed analysis rather than emotional reactions to speculation. Iraq's increasing integration with global financial systems also matters. As Iraqi banks and financial institutions establish more connections with international counterparts, it reduces the isolation that previously characterized Iraq's financial sector. Greater integration typically means easier currency convertibility and more comfortable conditions for international currency transactions. Reduced isolation generally supports currency functionality in global markets. Timing remains one of the most uncertain aspects of any currency market discussion. Forex movements are influenced by numerous unpredictable factors. What matters most is not trying to predict exact timing, but rather understanding whether fundamental conditions are improving. Iraq appears to be building stronger economic and financial infrastructure. Whether these improvements translate into currency revaluation and on what timeline remains uncertain. What's less uncertain is that structural improvements create better conditions for potential positive developments than existed previously. Risk assessment is essential in any currency market analysis. While increased attention and improving fundamentals are positive indicators, numerous risks remain. Oil price volatility, political developments, regional instability, and global economic shocks all pose potential challenges. Responsible analysis acknowledges both opportunities and risks rather than focusing exclusively on optimistic scenarios. Historical patterns in emerging market currencies suggest that countries implementing successful reforms, stabilizing political environments, and growing export capacity often see gradual currency strengthening over time. This doesn't typically manifest as overnight dramatic changes, but rather as steady repositioning as market perceptions adjust to improving realities. Digital communication platforms amplify market discussions significantly compared to previous decades. Information spreads rapidly through social media, online forums, and video content. This means market sentiment can shift more quickly than in previous eras when information flow was slower and more restricted. The Iraqi dinar benefits from this environment in terms of visibility, though it also means rumors and speculation can spread alongside factual information. Modern retail traders have access to tools and information that were previously available only to institutional investors. This democratization of market access means emerging currencies get discovered and analyzed by broader audiences than in the past. The Iraqi dinar is more visible to currency market participants today than it was even 5 years ago. Infrastructure development within Iraq also supports long-term economic prospects. Investments in transportation, energy, telecommunications, and logistics create conditions for improved trade and economic activity. While infrastructure development doesn't generate immediate currency market impacts, it builds the foundation for sustainable economic growth that eventually supports currency strength. The most important mindset for anyone following Iraqi dinar developments is focusing on understanding rather than speculation. Learning how currency markets function, what drives exchange rate movements, and how to evaluate economic indicators provides more value than chasing price predictions or reacting emotionally to rumors. Informed, patient analysis consistently outperforms emotional decision-making in financial markets. The discussions around higher potential valuations for the Iraqi dinar represent possibility rather than certainty. They reflect growing belief that Iraq's improving economic fundamentals may eventually lead to currency market adjustments. Whether such adjustments occur and to what degree remains uncertain and dependent on numerous evolving factors. As we move through 2026, the Iraqi dinar is no longer invisible in currency market conversations. It's being analyzed, discussed, and monitored by growing numbers of market participants. The shift from obscurity to attention represents a meaningful change in itself, regardless of specific valuation outcomes. The important takeaway is not any particular price speculation, but rather the recognition that Iraq's economic story is evolving. From stagnation toward development, from isolation toward integration, from being ignored toward being watched. These directional shifts create different conditions than existed in previous years. For our viewers, the key is staying informed through reliable sources, understanding the complex factors that influence currency markets, and approaching any currency holdings with appropriate caution and realistic expectations. Markets reward patience, education, and disciplined decision-making more reliably than they reward speculation and emotional reactions. The Iraqi dinar story in 2026 is fundamentally about transition. Whether that transition ultimately produces the dramatic outcomes some speculate about remains uncertain. What's less uncertain is that the conditions surrounding the currency are different than they were, and that difference is generating attention and discussion where silence previously existed. If you found this analysis helpful, please like this video and subscribe to IQD Dinar News for continued factual coverage of Iraqi economic and currency developments. Drop a comment sharing your thoughts, but remember that we're focused on education and information, not investment advice or price predictions. Stay informed, stay cautious, and always consult qualified financial advisors before making currency market decisions. Until next time, this is IQD Dinar News, committed to bringing you authentic, balanced analysis of Iraqi dinar developments.